Well, hi there. My name is Chad Nicely, and on this special interview, I've got one of my most valued members, and frankly, somebody who's been a mentor to me and has become a very good friend, and that is Mr. Stuart Tan. Stuart, how are you?
Awesome. Morning, Chad. Thanks so much for having me on this interview.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Where are you at, Stuart?
Well, I'm kind of like outside my office. We had a rough night last night. I was kind of like packing up and doing some webinars. In fact, I was doing the webinar for the EverLesson group, and they are such an awesome, high energy, pumped up group. It was like, I couldn't sleep literally yesterday, and it was difficult for me to get up this morning. But I can tell you, there's some kind of energy that's going on there. I don't know what kind of voodoo you pulled, but it's awesome. It's really cool.
It's good synergy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we have an awesome community there. So, Stuart, you mentioned that you're at your office. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what your background is?
Sure. Over the last 23 years, I've been building myself up as a consultant and trainer. I primarily do leadership and team development programs. And my target audience is mostly government agencies with the Singapore government, as well as multinational corporations. So most of the time when I go in for a pitch, I'm kind of like listening to the needs of the client, and I'm kind of producing a proposal so that they'll be able to be convinced enough to kind of take on my team as a training team.
Okay.
Unfortunately, what's gone on with my industry is that the government has already trained something like 15,000 fresh newbie trainers, and these guys are kind of like destroying the marketplace. We've got like $400 a day kind of pitch deals, and
Wow.
we won't be able to survive with that kind of price point. I'm used to like $5,000 to $8,000 a day. With the use of Member Hub, what has happened is I've given them additional value. I've managed to produce programs with a pre as well as post workshop training. We call that blended workshops.
Okay.
And what that has done for me, it has allowed me to charge upward of 40% of what I normally bill a client. So recently, just out of a 3-hour team building workshop, which would have just cost maybe $5,000 for that day, I charged $15,000, and that was the bank, one of the divisions in a bank.
Okay. And that's because you have, so you mentioned Member Hub, and I just want to clear that up for anybody watching. That's just a habit. It's actually called EverLesson now, but that's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I do the same thing. So you were able to charge 40% more than you usually charge because of this membership platform.
Yep. And for that particular case, it went up by, well, it was almost double. It was almost double what I would normally charge. So that increased my consultancy value. Not because of anything else. I mean, we could easily slap some videos on some kind of site like YouTube or WordPress, but the exclusivity of EverLesson for anybody to get into the front end and to watch how it's like to sign in and to go through the gamification, to go through the different modules that have been, well, it just gives a sense of exclusivity.
Yeah.
So to a certain point, it's so well laid out, in my opinion. It's clean when you want it to. It can be very complex if I want it to, but it's so easy for my users to navigate it that they fall in love with it. And even though I don't have like thousands and thousands of people going on, just those people who do go in spread the good news and they spread the goodwill. So it not only helps me to build a pre and post course follow-up for my clients and help them to develop further, it also builds a really, really strong positive relationship, because now I'm looking after their needs. I'm not saying, after this workshop, go settle whatever it is that you need to do yourself. But what I'm saying is, come on board with me, and I will be very happy to produce additional videos for you guys if you have any questions. And once I can demonstrate that, I've got fans. People are just loving what it is that I can do on this platform. So even though I'm not physically with them, the sheer fact that I'm producing something that they think is outside of the scope of work, outside of the norm, they know very well that I'm after their own interest.
So you're doing a great job selling the platform, Stuart. Thank you so much. But that's that's not what I was asking you to do. So I just want to make sure I understand. So you host these live events and these training sessions, and before
Mm-hmm.
they get there, they already know that they're going to have access to this membership. It's included in your
Yep.
price, right? Okay.
Yep, that's right.
So you get them in the membership, and obviously you've built the community, you provide a lot of value and everything else. Do you upsell them into anything once you get them in the membership?
At this juncture, no. But what's happening is because of my regular contact with them, what I do is I do send out offers. Like, for example, one of the things that I do even with my corporate audience is to invite them to my public workshop.
Okay.
So I do have a couple of certification programs, which are high-ticket items. We're talking about $3,500 and above. So I've got people who've come through those funnels and actually attend my certification programs on the back end. So it's not a blatant upsell. I think most corporations wouldn't like that. But because those guys are already fans and they have been asking me questions, they've already been part of a support group in a sense. And that's where they start getting opened up to, hey, you know, what else do you do? And that has been one of the strongest suits, I think, for me to be able to actually establish that relationship even at a distance across so many hundreds of people. So that has been a boon for me.
So now you brought up a very valuable point. You said that you could go and host, you know, these other videos, these supplemental videos on another website or on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
want to make sure our viewers understand that there's a high perceived value when you have a beautiful membership site where they actually go and enter their username and their password. It's a lot different than just going to a link on YouTube where the whole
Oh,
entire
yeah.
world can see it, right?
Yep.
And that's why we're able to charge so much more for membership sites. So let me just ask this. Before EverLesson, did you have experience with other membership sites?
Yeah, so what I did, I would say that I'm a little bit embarrassed, Chad. I'm not a tech guy, so what I do is I'll fiddle around with, you know, stuff on the WordPress, you know, Optimize Press, S2 Member, all that kind of stuff. And every time I touch something, I'm like I'm like digital death. I go out there and I spoil stuff, you know. So it's difficult for me every time I use a WordPress, and I even try to upgrade some plugins, things get broken. So I'm not a big fan of trying to put a huge ticket item customer onto something that breaks so easily. And again, it's just a function of me having to learn all of that kind of stuff. And for me to even install that platform and then to add, 7 or 8 plugins just to keep track. You know, all I can say is that EverLesson just takes the cake. For me, just clicking a few buttons and all the videos are up there. Really saves me a lot of hassle. And it's not just me having to learn the platform. I mean, everybody needs to learn a good platform. Even Microsoft Word needs some time to learn, right? But on EverLesson, what it has done is it has cut out the remedial need. So I don't have to go in and fix things. I don't have to go in and try and change things up too much. It's already there. And I think one of the reasons why it's so effective is because of the years of experience you've got in building up memberships. And it really has cut short the learning curve, literally. I mean, if I had to go in and do WordPress again, I'd rather stab myself with a pen in the eye. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
I understand. I completely know where you're coming from. So what do you think, if you had to sum it up in 2 or 3 sentences, what is the strength of being an EverLesson member? What is it?
Okay, so where do I begin, right? I think one of the biggest immediate practical things that people must know, it is probably one of the most easy to use platforms. And again, I say that because every platform needs a learning curve. And I'm not going to tell people that, you know, it was a walk in the park to learn any kind of platform. But I can say that over the course of a few hours, simple step-by-step with your video tutorials and with the support from the group, it became easy. All it needed was a little bit of action from the people who were using that. And ultimately, it was, you know, yeah, and now it's easy. You know, it's like 30 minutes and we get a relatively complex site up and running. because I know a lot of people spend way too much time doing their videos and perfecting their videos. They don't have a good place to put it on. So the first thing is the practical takeaway would be that it's easy to set up, it is convenient, and the bonus behind that is everybody supporting one another. I think one of the biggest takeaways that I've got is that community is power.
Right.
I run into a little bit of a problem, and I just ask a question, and people jump to my aid, and that's better than 24/7 support. It's like instant support.
Yeah.
The only difference is that it's your friends who are helping you out, and because of that, now you want to help them out, and you want them to succeed, and that's one of the reasons why I think that's so cool. So the EverLesson support structure, coupled with its ease of technical use, I think is bar none. So
yeah. And let me ask you this, because you've been around for quite some time. I was looking through some of your images earlier this morning when I was trying to help you with your webinar, and I was like, "Wow, these images are from like 20 years ago, right?" So you've been around online for quite some time, and so obviously
well,
you've been
not 20 years ago.
yeah. So obviously you've been a part of a lot of support groups and communities and things like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen so many people experience so much success in such a short time frame?
No, I've not. In fact, the only time where I found such a committed group of people was in a live series of face-to-face workshops that cost something like $10,000.
Yeah.
I mean, people will pay for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just to get in, just to listen, just to get people accounted for, just to get people to listen to their issues and their stories. I'm seeing members literally just jump in and taking the lead. I've seen people kind of like come into such a support group and say, hey, so, now I have permission to do something. Nobody needs permission in EverLesson. They just jump in, they take the lead, and, we've got people who say, give me a private message and I'll jump on Skype with you.
Yeah.
So that's been a big inspiration. I've never seen anything like that before. And I believe that is such a blessing to have, because it's not just about the technology. I think the technology is wonderful. But when you couple it with people who care, you care about the group so much, Chad, with all that training, the development, the updates, the connection that you make. It literally gives people the feeling that they won't go wrong. It's that sense of assurance that I don't think any other group can actually give. So yes, I have seen I've run some programs like that before, but people pay good money just to be in this kind of a support group.
Yeah.
So not anywhere else, not anywhere else. And those guys who are saying and claiming 24/7 support, I get back the reply like 8 hours or 12 hours later. So it's not the same. It just isn't the same. I don't know how to explain it. All I can say is for people who want to experience what it's like, they've got to get into the members area on Facebook just to experience what it's like. A question comes up, people, they're within the span of like 5 minutes, you've got 2 or 3 responses. And these 2 or 3 responses are from people who have used the software, who have gotten in, and who actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They go inside, they do screenshots, they put it up, and it's so helpful. It's like I don't need a manual anymore. All I go is like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And they'll go, here's my opinion, and I suggest that you do this. They throw in a screenshot, and you go, wow, never thought about doing it that way. It's that kind of a synergy. So I love that the use of technology in that way.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't put you at a distance. It actually brings you closer to people. So
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah. And for those that you don't know, Stuart did a webinar at 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. So that was pretty early, and he just hit me up. He said, hey, Chad, I'd like to do something special for the group, and I'd like to teach him, since it's now the new year, how to go about setting up goals properly. And this is like an everyday occurrence. We see members that just start going live in the group and they're
Yeah.
providing value. And there's people that are going live in our group that have probably never talked to another human being before. Like there's some real introverts that are facing their fears and they're seeing success from it.
Yep.
So it's pretty awesome. So Stuart, I don't want to keep you, but what I would like to do is prove that you actually are one of our power users. And I know that I've logged into your platform right now. I don't think you'll be able to see it because I'm recording the screen, but is it okay if I go ahead and show the
Yeah,
viewers
please
what you've
do.
done?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at your dashboard right now, Stuart, and there's about 5, 10, there's like 14 sites on the screen with beautiful graphics and everything else. So you clearly have used this platform quite a bit.
Yep.
And you're also one of our agency users. So I went ahead and logged into the front end here. And what we're seeing is we're seeing your NLP Masterclass Lesson 1.
Hmm.
So is this one? Oh, and you got some comments down here at the bottom. And oh, cool. Yeah, you got quite a bit of interaction happening. So
Yep.
is this one of the memberships that's included with your training when they buy into your classes?
Well, the NLP practitioner program and the NLP masterclass is actually the next phase because, to be honest, I'm moving out of the corporate training market because number one, the competition is just too cheap. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but there's so much that's going on there. I'm moving away from low-end prices and moving closer toward big consulting deals. So we're talking about moving away from a five-figure price point to a six-figure price point. If I am correct on this, I will be out of training corporations for quite a long time, but moving more in the consulting space, largely because that's the way my kind of business scales. But the next thing that I'm doing, which I'm really, really passionate about, is elevating the lives of people around me. You know me as a personal development guy, so it's been some time since I've had the opportunity to touch a larger group of people on my terms, not on somebody's compliance terms, right?
Right.
So I wanted to reach out to more people, so that hence the reason for doing the webinars, doing the public training programs where I invite people onto my campus and we run training programs to multiply their amazing undiscovered brilliance. So that's what kind of like the direction that I'm taking, and because the NLP Masterclass was a starting point, it's kind of been an experiment, to be honest, at this stage, where I said, okay, let's bring people in and let's see how they respond to this, because I haven't been doing online stuff since 2006.
Wow.
Now that's been, so that's been, I mean, those were the days where I was having, I had some really good webinar sessions in 2006, 2007 with a whole bunch of guys, Jeff Johnson, Jeff Walker, Yannick Silver, Alex Mendosian. Those were amazing mentors of mine. And in my limited world of running internet marketing, I didn't just want to reach out to people to help them to make money. I think making money is just a function of effort and energy. But if anyone wants to elevate themselves so that making money becomes effortless, that they attract stuff like that into their lives and find synergy, just like what you're doing right now with the group, to me, I think that's more important, because we see money everywhere, but we don't see grounded, well-founded character in people who want to make money. And unfortunately, sometimes that just throws people off. It just destroys their branding, and that's something that I don't want to do. I don't want to be a propagator of such a program. So when I saw what you were doing, and I saw that this platform was a nexus of creating the next big thing in the community, I said, I got to be a part of this. So that was where I saw the potential, and in fact, Member Hub gave me the inspiration to kind of, EverLesson gave me the inspiration to shift the way I was thinking about my workshop. And then I tested it with blended learning. I realized from one of the comments in one of my other membership sites called Persuasion Academy, this guy who's an engineer, I mean, this guy was an introvert. He came up, he bumbled his presentation, and later on came into my masterclass. And he says, I've seen Stuart live and I've seen Stuart on video. And to be honest, there's no difference. I don't mind even attending an entire workshop on video. So to me, that was absolute validation that I was going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So because of that, we brought in a couple of dozens of participants, get a little bit of feedback. We'll use that feedback to tweak what we've already got to make it a better product. And you know what? I'm modeling exactly what you're doing. Only I'm doing it with my videos. I'm taking feedback from participants, improving my game so that I'm light years away from my competition.
Right.
That if anybody wants to take up anything in the space of NLP, for example, my members' best interests are in my heart. So I want to make sure that they get the best value possible. And I think that's, if anything else, that's the main reason why anyone should buy any product in the first place. You know, I wouldn't like somebody to, try and second guess my intentions or think that I'm cheating them or something. I really want them to see that I'm adding great value. You know,
it's a good feeling.
That's where I'm at.
It's a good feeling, and it's what your soul needs. Like, you need to feel good about what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I believe even Tony Robbins mentioned this. He said that there are two ways of living life. One is the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. And most of us chase down that road of achievement.
Yeah.
We get our millions of dollars, and then we shrink back wondering what happened to life, you know.
Yeah.
And so many people have run down that long road and then give up in misery. I think that's silly. I think what we have is the ability to build connection. We build significance because people who are leaders can step up to the game. We build some sense of certainty because people don't like getting into places with dark corners, and the members just give light to these dark corners anyway. And, there's so much growth going on. There's so much contribution. I think what we're really doing is we're fulfilling the entire stack of human needs that people have within this community. And even those who are lurkers right now, they're taking a look at what's happening and they're going, I want some of that.
And that's crazy because, EverLesson is a great platform. Like, we really did want to create the world's greatest membership platform. I believe we did that because people are
absolutely.
They're able to create a membership site in minutes, and they don't have to go through the videos. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I think it's so much more than that because I believe like people already have the tools they need. It's that extra push in the morning. It's you going live in the morning and giving that word of encouragement. And Eric and Wayne and Naomi and like our power users are like giving that extra push that people need to go out there and face their fears. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest issues I feel when people buy something is that they're looking for a way to make the tool that they bought an assurance for their life. So what's happening is that the buying satisfies them and they don't use the tool. What we're doing here is we're pushing people off the edge, literally, to say, you've got an amazing tool, but what's stopping you from actually using it? I mean, just use it. Just bring people in. And, there have been some really amazing strategies that come up as a result of that. And you've been so responsive. You and Karthik and the support team have been so responsive in listening to that and enhancing that. So I'm seeing some of the bells and whistles really coming out right now. I'm seeing the creme de la creme on the new set of features coming up in 2.0.
Yeah.
And I am pumped up. This is like amazing stuff. And what's even more amazing is that you did that without saying, okay, here's another feature. It's another $27 a month. That's not what you did. Instead, you said, we're going to make this the world's best platform. We're going to make this the most amazing community, and something will come out of that. And, through our discussions, Chad, I believe that to be absolutely true. I think there are going to be amazing conferences that EverLessoners are going to come to. I believe that there are going to be top-notch power users who are going to be at their A game when they're coaching others in that group who need some kind of guidance. And that's going to literally blow things out. Not to mention the internal marketplace. I'm not sure whether I'll spill the beans here, but the internal marketplace is going to be awesome. I think it's going to bring more value to every single member than I've seen in any other platform. Most of the other platforms I've seen have been beneficial to the platform owner alone.
Yeah.
Not just everybody.
Yeah, and we're out there on a leap of faith. You know, I was lectured by several people and they said, look, you have to find a way to make more money from your existing members. And I'm like, you
Mm.
know, for once, like I'm going to look out for the members and make sure that they succeed. And I want to see the synergy and the energy that comes back to us for actually having good intentions, giving it 110% and going out there and making sure everybody succeeds.
Yep. I
And
think that's the key because once everybody succeeds, ultimately they'll have more money. They'll want to know where to place that money
yeah,
in a valuable coaching program, in a valuable you know development, or possibly to move beyond that, move beyond tools, move into something even bigger than just tools.
yeah,
And I believe that it's possible once you've got a group of like-minded people who are moving in the right direction, who are being held accountable. I mean, I told the guys yesterday, Chad, you would have been quite intrigued by the kinds of comments that they were making. I got some of them to commit literally to not just doing their goals assignments, but to hold themselves accountable by sending me their homework. And they said, yes, I'm in. So I've been to corporate workshops and I tell them to do homework. They don't do any. Like they'll tell me, yeah, I'll wait till next Christmas. It's like that kind of a mindset where people are ready and willing to learn. They're willing and ready to jump in on doing things once they've got clear direction and once they've seen other people kind of like, hey, this guy can do it, so can I. And that's the kind of permission we want to give the rest of the world as well. With this kind of a platform and with the energy. And when you say a leap of faith, trust me, I think it's equally, it goes both ways. I think the others are taking a look at this. Some of them have been bitten so many times by some of these tools that are out there that never ever supported. They're going to go like, what? I'm going to have to pay this much every month just to get it, or every year just to get it. Okay, it looks kind of cool. I'll go on a leap of faith. And you know what? Because you're on the same page as them, and they're on the same page as you, they kind of like match so quickly, so easy, and they realize that was probably their best investment ever. And I can tell you this, Chad, and I'm not saying this because we're friends or anything like that. I've taken a look at almost all the platforms that I've owned, and I own a whole bunch of them. I've literally had to put up like 2 or 3 Trello boards just for my software alone, so that I keep track of stuff, And I can tell you this, aside from Member Hub, well, back then Member Hub and now EverLesson, and its associated software, right? The integrations and all that kind of stuff. I barely use the rest. Literally, I barely use the rest.
good.
The rest are like, I'll tell my guys, go figure it out, go set it up, and so on. But this is the one that's closest to my heart, the one that I personally use. I mean, I get on this platform. I learned to use the platform myself. And I was excited enough to go get some of my other friends to come and make use of it. In fact, this afternoon, I'm meeting one of my guys who's an options trader. And he's got like 4,000 fans. And he's wanting to bring his entire training program into some form of a digital platform where he's tried, just like me, he's talked about WordPress and all that kind of stuff, and he's realized that number one, security is going to kill him. Number two, is going to be literally a huge hassle just bringing in a video. So I said, hey, dude, you're looking at a guy who's been using this for the last few months, and now I churn out membership sites like that.
You do.
So why don't you come on board with me? And we've got a fantastic partnership going on right now. He used to be one of my trainees. Now he's like this mega star in forex trading, options trading. And I'm just glad that he trusts me enough to want to come on board, and we'll synergize. He'll run some public workshops, and he believes so strongly in the kind of stuff that I'm doing that he says, you know what, we should do a joint program. So there are a lot of things that are coming out of this platform. It's not the bells and whistles and the features in the platform, even though they're top class, Chad. And because they're top class, I have so much more confidence in doing this kind of stuff, building the kinds of relationships that I've had, and rekindling some of them and telling them, look, I can support you in a new dimension. Would you like to join in with me? And I grow my alliances, I grow my network, and it's fascinating. It's just one of those things that people don't realize is possible. But a membership tool isn't just a membership tool. I think the biggest mistake that people make is that they think of it as a tool rather than the members. And what you've done is you've reversed that, and you said, since membership comes with member first, why don't we focus on the people who are using it? And sure enough, I think people are getting and latching onto that idea much more easily and more confidently than before. So, that's my take on it. I think it's only scratched the surface of what it can do, literally.
You're right. Yeah, and every day it's something new. Like everything keeps spinning off. Like doors keep opening, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
it's unreal.
Yeah.
Like if you had asked me where I pictured this going on the day we launched the first time, I didn't know it was going to be this.
Wow. Yeah, when I saw your video on some of the power users that are in the group, I was blown away. I mean, I was going like, what?
Yeah.
This guy's already crossed $500,000 in sales in like less than a few months.
630,000. We've done $4 million in sales at the time I'm doing this interview.
That's awesome. So what will be really interesting is these power users are going to have to come for the EverLesson live event.
Exactly.
That I know you're going to be organizing, so that they can maybe they don't want to spill the beans on everything, but just their presence, I think, is going to bring even more confidence. And I believe very strongly that they too will grow their and multiply their revenues and multiply their reach. So it's awesome. It really blows people's minds that, wow, I never knew that this was possible. I was still dabbling with like free previews and stuff like that until when I took a look at that and I said, yeah, what's stopping everybody else from doing that? And I think we've got a couple of answers to that, right? Which I'm just excited to be able to support the group in this way so that they can plan their direction, but also with some practical takeaways. I mean, some of them are real newbies to a point where if they were using Optimized Press or any other membership platform for that matter, I'm quite sure they will take much longer to even put out their membership site. So it's just amazing where this is going. It's just scratched the surface, and I think that there are going to be a lot of people who will find this a boon. I mean, an absolute blessing once they get inside. And if anyone has been meddling with WordPress the way I do, and I've got to hire tech support to kind of like fix my passwords and fix my security and all that, I might as well put all that money into a platform that's stable enough for me to run the kinds of things that I run with the big boys, with groups like Citibank, HSBC, AIA. I've used the platform for these companies.
Wow.
And they trust what I do. They trust the platform. So why not go the next step? I've had rave reviews from the Academy of Singapore Teachers. I teach a bunch of teachers in their mid-career how to find their passion back, right? And I put a lot of revision material into into EverLesson, sorry. And I get myself messages saying that, thanks for keeping me on my toes. Thanks for reminding me about this lesson I've changed. Yesterday on my Facebook profile, somebody tagged me, and it was this lady who was from the private sector, got into my training workshop, and because I've set up all my follow-up messages, my autoresponder, she gets periodic messages, and recently I sent out a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year message, and she responded saying, and I can tell you this, she's not a person who would go for exercise, She woke up at 4:30 a.m., went out for her run. I think she did like a 2 or 3 mile run, and then she continued with her Fitbit exercise, and she crossed 10,000 steps in the same day, and she's going like, no excuses, just focus on growing and learning. And thank you very much, Stuart. And, that's kind of stuff that, I remember saying, but where did I see it? This is my autoresponder message. So technology is not the key thing. I think the way we utilize technology, and by receiving so much from even just a platform and even from a workshop, how many people actually remember this kind of stuff? So I want to make it impactful. I want to emphasize things. So I put up my videos in the members area. get people to go log into EverLesson. And what's happening now is that life's so much easier both for me, and it's so much more value adding to the participants of my workshop. They still remember me even though it's been like months after the training program. So that's very gratifying for me as well. So, it's a blessing in so many different ways. And I think that those who are not on or who have missed out on this, they're going to be sorry. They're going to be sorry.
I appreciate you saying that. And one thing I caught on, your webinar that you did this morning, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, do you have a replay of that?
I'm in the process of checking that out. I'm not sure whether there were any technical issues or technical glitches, but I did get it recorded, so I'm going to check that out once I get into my room and open up my laptop. But it was something like an hour 45 minutes or something.
Wow.
So it was actually it was a very detailed program. We did some exercises. And in terms of setting goals, I think we should not just set goals at the beginning of the year. I think it should be an all year round endeavor, right?
Good point.
But this was something which was an amazing lesson for me. I mean, I've done Facebook Live, I've done webinars before. It's just that because the technology has caught up so much, I'm generally a tech klutz unless I really go inside and explore everything. It's not something that I'm used to. I did like 7 tests before the actual webinar, and still things kind of screwed up a little bit for me. So, but everything seemed to be okay on the recording, and I'm just gonna make sure I check it out before I send out the link on the EverLesson in the EverLesson Facebook group.
See, this is one of my favorite things to do. I love finishing a webinar because this used to be like a 2-hour process, and I literally load that webinar to S3. I do one click, I link it to my EverLesson module.
That's right.
I go and simply enter the resources that I mentioned in the training. I might put the PowerPoint down below, right?
Yep.
Maybe put some banners on there if I want to get them somewhere else. And that's it. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done.
That's right.
And the way we have it set up is your existing members already have access to it, or you can actually get a free link, a free preview link, and you can go put that out in social media, and then they can see your beautiful membership site without having to log in.
That's right. And that's precisely what I'm going to do, because although it is going to be a little bit of a pain trying to download like more than 1 gig worth of video, right? But with all the strategies and tips and so on that we've gotten, that's become so much easier. I've actually tested that out with a different meeting that I had, and done exactly the same thing as what you suggested. Is put up a free program, get people who are already in an existing membership area to go join that, and that's it's like automatic upsell without even needing to call it an upsell. It's like, hey guys, there's something new, go check it out. And people, if it's a free thing, people are grateful for it. But if it's not a free thing, because the amount of effort that we had to do previously would have been humongous, right? So now people have this perception that, oh my gosh, you actually took like 10 hours to do this, but we didn't. It's now so much more convenient. I can now add 10 hours worth of value to you by taking much less time. So that saves me effort. It gives people a huge amount of perceived value. Don't get me wrong, it's still the same amount of effort. It's just that we cut out all the in-betweens that didn't add value to that relationship. And that's what I think is the most amazing thing.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you mentioned that the people on the webinar, you're going to give them homework assignments. And and so you're able to use the gamification right underneath your webinar replay. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
So we're going to have gamification. We're going to have, in fact, link submission. So these guys are going to give me the Google Drive links inside the Gold block that I set up, so that I can keep track of them. And we will have a follow-up webinar just to get everybody to share what they've done. You said you're going to do this. I'm going to hold you to that.
There you go.
Come on board. The mic's yours. Go tell us what you've done and be accountable to the things that you haven't, right? So everyone's there to support, but it's beyond just pats on the back and stuff like that. It's really hardcore. So I think it was Walter who said, you've really thrown down the gauntlet this time. And I said, yeah, it's I mean, if you don't have a community that grows, and Tony Robbins mentioned this in one of his interviews, he said, one of the key things to fulfillment is progress. Yeah, I mean, no matter what it is that we do, if we don't progress, and we don't experience this progression, and we don't improve ourselves, or let alone see something move forward, there's no excitement, there's no joy, there's no motivation, there's no enthusiasm, there's no energy, literally. You wake up, I mean, how many people have gone into a corporate life cycle where they wake up, they freshen up, they go grab their breakfast, go into the office, do whatever their boss says, and that cycle just happens over and over
Hamster
and
wheel.
over again.
Hamster wheel.
And, yeah. So with that kind of hamster life, unfortunately, there's no feeling of progress. Some of them might be in a better job where they've got really exciting things to do, and their bosses synergize with them the same way as you do with the member hub group. But if there's no progression, nobody's going to feel that they're moving someplace. And I think that's what magic you bring to the platform. You've got a whole list of things on the Trello board that you crossed out, that you're improving, that you're adding features to. You're getting people to list down their suggestions, and sometimes it's just 2 or 3 small little suggestions, but sometimes it's really huge, leverageable solutions. So that's the thing that when I take a look at, it's progress. The platform is making such rapid progress, and it has over the last few months alone. I can't imagine what's going to happen in the next year. I mean, 2017 is like it's going to be mind-blowing.
Yeah. Cool. Stuart, thank you so much. You're such an inspiration to me. I love hearing you speak, and I've actually caught some of your live feeds where you're speaking in front of your audience and everything. Very, very captivating. I've picked up so much from you. Is there anything that you want to leave us with before we conclude?
Well, I would say stick with it. Someone wise once told me that even a yoga position needs to be held for a longer time than we expect in order to generate the kinds of results, the physical results that we want to see from stretching, from whatever. So stick with it. I mean, it's a membership platform. It's a group and it's a community. It might seem overwhelming for people who just jump in and see 2.0 and, oh my God, I'm behind. But I'm telling people, you just stick with it, you just go with it, and you hold your ground. Because the moment that happens, everyone else who's not on the platform is going to be obsolete. You will be on a learning curve, and you're going to be surfing that learning curve so that you can tumble and fall, yeah, but you've got a whole bunch of people who already surf that wave. So why not join in and have some fun? Bring out your surfing board, bring out your diving gear, whatever it is, and join in for the fun. Because once you stay your course, that's what's going to bring out the best in you, and it's also going to bring out the best in that platform that you're using. So EverLesson is the place to go to, and I do strongly believe that that's the place where everybody needs to be in the next, hopefully everybody should get on board in January once this launches. But even if you are currently lurking and you're wondering whether this is the place to kind of like start out, and there's so much stuff going on, information overload is status quo now, so that's passé. You've got to figure out how to stay the course by doing one small thing that leads you closer and closer towards what you're passionate about. And if it's info product, if it's adding value to your customers, whatever it might be, if that's your passion, then I can tell you this, EverLesson is the thing that brings you several giant strides ahead of the competition. And if you stay your course, you too will be able to make those giant strides.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Stuart. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm most honored that you had this call with me, and I hope that it added value to you and everybody else on the platform.
Absolutely. And on that note, I want to wish you all the best, and everybody else that tuned in, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
Take care, everybody. Bye.